Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us to our next installment of our webinar series. Today, we're going to be talking about an exciting new communication service we encourage you to add to your solution portfolio. And I'm quite excited, been joined by our friends over at Mondago, and we'll be talking about their Go Integrator Pria solution that we hope you'll find lots of value in, and you'll be able to bring to your enterprises and small and medium businesses that you serve. Just a few housekeeping items just before we get started with the actual webinar. Your microphones are muted. We will be able to have a question and answer Q&A at the end of the session. I believe we will take about 30 to 40 minutes to get through our content, and then hopefully about 15-20 minutes at the end for Q&A, which should get us to an hour. We will have a recording of today's session, which we will share afterwards. So for those of you or for your colleagues that aren't able to make it live, you can always get a recording. And also for the question and answer, feel free to answer it throughout the session. You don't have to wait till the actual question and answer session so you don't forget your question, but we will only answer it at the end in the last 15-20 minutes. All right, so that should be all. Just a quick introduction from my end. I'm Klaus Hertel from PortaOne. I'm leading the alliances and partnership area, and I'm joined today by my good friend Rob over at Mondago, and I'll give Rob a chance to introduce himself in just a few minutes here. So what we'll do, let's take a look at the agenda today. Obviously, a large portion of today's session will be to give Rob a chance to illustrate why Go Integrator Pria is going to be very beneficial to you and add to your solution portfolio. But before we do that, I just want to give you a quick update and take this opportunity to really talk about an update on our add-on Mart, which will be the delivery mechanism or distribution channel for Pria. I'll briefly talk about this collaboration and give you an example of why it's quite helpful to have the two vendors involved in getting you the solutions that you need in your market. And then we'll jump right into the demo and overview of Pria that Rob will do. And at the end, as I mentioned, we'll do a question and answer. So as I said, I do want to take this opportunity to give you a brief update where we are with our efforts on our add-on Mart. For those of you that are not familiar, add-on Mart is our marketplace for value-added services that work well with PortaSwitch, that we feel are optional but very beneficial and useful to many of you. Our goal is a very active ecosystem and make it very developer friendly, and hopefully get you some unique and solutions that your market needs in your specific segment. So one item that you might have noticed is the goal is obviously to make this add-on Mart as efficient as possible. And with that, we're trying to do self-help. Automation is going to be a big component there. So we do have the self-sign up, and now also the self-service, self-care portal is available, as you might have seen. What this allows you to do is to activate trials and proof of concepts for various add-ons that we offer. You can manage your subscriptions, your payment methods. So we hope it's an easy way for you to keep track and manage any sort of vast services that you may subscribe to as part of add-on Mart. We'll be launching a few new modules. Obviously, Pria is the notable one that we'll be discussing today. We also have, and this is an interesting example, we have a new Stripe add-on as well. So we already have Stripe, obviously, as one of the original add-ons, but one of our developer partners, and they're a customer at the same time, they've actually developed their own Stripe add-on, and it's different because it uses a different API. So our original one uses an API that may be phased out in a short while, and this new Stripe add-on again was developed without our involvement, and that one uses the payment methods API. So if you're interested in that, go check it out on the add-on Mart Self-Care. We're also working on a couple new interfaces to support add-ons. One notable one is the taxation part. So just like payment methods or payment gateways, we're looking to launch new payment or taxation plugins via the add-on Mart. So one example I wanted to give you about the PortaOne and Mondago collaboration and how it benefits you is there are quite a few platforms that you can obviously use jointly with PortaSwitch, and you don't always have to tell PortaOne about it. One advantage, obviously, of an open, flexible platform like ours is that you can just go out and use it in whichever way you wish. Sometimes though, and I would like to encourage you to reach out to us, sometimes it may actually be helpful to let us know what you're using or ask our advice. Hey, am I using this right? And one example here, for instance, would be the collaboration with Mondago that we did. So our direct involvement, our direct engagement in this led to a new API endpoint that we added, and it made the go-to-market for Mondago quite a bit easier, less complex. And we feel this benefits, in the end, it obviously benefits you as a customer. So again, I'd like to encourage you, any sort of platform that you're using and you're a big fan of, if you're not quite sure if the integration or the interworking between PortaSwitch and that platform is in an ideal way, just simply reach out to us, start discussing with us, and see if we can maybe advise and make that better. So with that, I would love to pass the mic over to Rob. I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and Rob will share his screen and show us what they got.
Great, thanks, Klaus. And just bear with me while I share my screen. I'll just do that full screen. So first, I'd like to say hello to everyone, and thank you for taking the time to come onto the call today. So as Klaus introduced me, I'm Rob Cox. I'm the Chief Sales and Marketing Officer of Mondago. I'm based in the UK. So I'm going to try and do just a few slides around Go Integrator Pria, tell you a little bit about our company, a little bit about the product, and then I'm going to do a short demo, and then we should have a bit of time for questions and answers. First thing is, so who are Mondago? Well, we were formed in 2001. We're a UK company, and we're based in Peterborough, which is just a little north of London. But we've also got offices in Scottsdale, in Arizona, and Utrecht in the Netherlands. We've got about 45 employees. Okay. All the developments are owned and in-house. We specialize in computer telephony and CRM integration, and we've been well known to sort of telephony and service providers for some time, and we're very much channel focused. Okay, so we tend to be at the top of the channel and then feeding our products down that way. As you said, we partnered with PortaOne to provide a solution for the PortaSwitch platform. So the product Pria is, so we've got a range of products known as Go Integrator, and Pria is the product which is specific to the PortaSwitch platform. Okay, and the key thing that it's meant to deliver is telephony CRM integration. So all of those many CRM integrations out there, from your Salesforces, your Dynamics, etc. There's an enormous number of them out there. We're there to try and integrate your end users' telephony experience into these CRM applications. But it does more than just CRM integration. It it gives you busy land field and Teams availability, allowing you to decide when to move your calls around, because it also has call control options. So it's not only delivering CRM integration, it's also delivering quite a rich experience for controlling your telephony environment. It also comes with an embedded soft phone as well, so you don't have to. It can control your desk phone or any other sort of third-party SIP device you may have available on the platform, but it does come with its own embedded soft phone as well. It has a couple of different user interfaces, so you can sort of massage, or the end user can decide what their preferred way of using the software is, and we'll look at them. And it also comes through, this isn't something which the user might be aware of, but it comes with a cloud discovery system, which means that we can white label a product or make it available for your platform through a cloud configuration, well, through a cloud discovery mechanism. So essentially, you can all use the same common software from us, and we can deliver the parameters and the branding and the white labeling of the software straight from the cloud. And that can be done dynamically. So it's very, very flexible in terms of giving you a product which is customized to your needs. So let's have a little look at the architecture. In the middle here, you have an end user's PC. Okay, so it's a desktop application. It's not a cloud-based application. And we've got a desktop PC, and we see we got this middle box is the customer site, the end customer site. And I've put two PCs in there just to represent, you know, the office workers at their desks. And you can see there's a blue phone next to them. So that's the end user working away at their desk, taking telephone calls or making telephone calls, and using their CRM system. And our software sits on the PC, and it's making two connections. It's making a CTI connection to port switch, okay, direct connection, and it's also making a connection to the user's preferred CRM system. Okay, this is very good because there's nothing in the cloud. You don't need anything else in the cloud to support the solution, which means it's a highly trusted solution because it's using the trust already established for the user to the port switch and for the user to their CRM system. So we're not adding any complexity in terms of security. At the top of the screen here, we've also got some of the cloud services we operate just to support use of the software. So that's the discovery service I spoke about just a moment ago, and also to deliver a license to the software. Now, Klaus mentioned that there's been a modification to the API lately, and to allow us to simplify and get to this architecture. But it does require MR100 at this point in time. And I know there's some talk about potentially being pushed back into some earlier releases, but right at this point in time, yeah, it requires MR100. And I suspect that many of you are not there yet, but hopefully this will be a reason to start to look to go there. So I won't dwell too much on this screen because I'm going to show you this, but I said there's a number of different user interfaces. Probably the most important one for the purposes of what we're going to look at today is the preview window. This is the sort of the default interface into our software for allowing you to control the call and to do your CRM integration. So this will be the one we look at most often, but we will look at all of them and I'll talk about them, but perhaps it's better to see that actually happening. I think it's important before I demo just to explain, and I'll just talk it through, what CRM integration really is. When Mondago delivers CRM integration, they attempt to always deliver exactly the same features for every integration. So if you know how we work with Salesforce, you pretty much know how we're going to work with Dynamics or any other CRM. Okay, so we're not changing the user experience according to the CRM. We're forcing the CRM to work within our parameters. Now, the key things we've got in here is caller preview. So caller preview is essentially a pop-up window. So when your phone rings, we're going to show the phone ringing via a pop-up window on your screen. And that pop-up window is going to have information and control options. Okay, so that is the primary interface to our software. It's unobtrusive and it takes very little real estate on the screen. Okay, so it doesn't stop you or interfere with anything else you may be doing on the screen at the time that you receive your call. You've then got contact pop-in, so you have a call. We match this to a record in your preferred CRM, and it gives you an option to very quickly get to the contact record in the CRM system. That's what we call contact pop-in. Contact, add and edit. So the very first time you get a call from an unknown person, we give you the opportunity to add that contact and edit the contact in the CRM system. Activity login, this is where we're going to write a history record, effectively a call history record into the CRM system. So you've got a permanent record of that person calling into you at that point in time, and it being logged in your CRM. Okay. And last but not least, click to dial. Okay, so click to dial is where you can just press on a number on the screen, or there's a number of other mechanisms to call back. So you can very quickly call people without having to type numbers in on your handset or your soft phone. Right, so that's a very quick overview of CRM integration. We've also got Microsoft Teams integration, which a lot of people have been very sort of keen for us to introduce to the product over the last 1 to 2 years. So essentially, again, this is a layer over the core value of the product, and this allows you to use our presence screen within the application to quickly and easily see both the call status, the BLF essentially, and the Microsoft Teams availability of users in your organization, okay, your co-workers. So it's helping you understand, can I actually maybe transfer a call to them at this point in time? So it's giving you very effective control of that. Search and call, which is something which is embedded within Microsoft Teams to help you search and call contacts. We can push a call through a Teams desktop client rather than pushing the call through your desk set. You do need direct routing or something like call to Teams or Teammate for this feature to work. So most of the team features don't need direct routing or something similar, but actually pushing a call through a desktop client would need that. Okay. And we can also control from our own presence window, we can quickly get you into Teams to chat to your co-workers, but we'll show this a bit more closely now. So on that note, I'm going to go into a short demo, okay? So I'm just going to come out of full screen mode, and I'm going to just minimize that. So you should just see a blank screen in front of you now. The first thing is Integrator Pria is running on the desktop here, okay? And the first thing I'll do, I'll just log out so you can see how you actually log in to the software. So you can see here, you've got your username, all right, which is just your PortaOne end username and the password. So we're using exactly the same credentials you would use to, say, log into a portal on PortaOne as a user. Okay, and I simply click login. And once I've logged in, I'm going to get this green system tray. Ignore that, that's a missed call from the past. You can see I've got this round circle in the system tray and it says on hook. The fact it's gone green means it's effectively connected to the platform and it's got some devices to manage. Now, if I right click on this, this is the first user interface. You can see this is what we call the system tray menu. And this is one of your main, it's not something you use during a call. It's not something you'd use actively when you're actually speaking to someone. This is your interface to setting up, controlling your environment. And one of the main things I'm going to point out here is that you've got something called preferred device, which allows you to select the device you want to control, i.e. to make calls from, and also to change behavior for inbound calls. For the demonstration, I'm going to be using our embedded soft phone, okay? So essentially now I'm going to use my mobile phone, and hopefully you can see me shaking that in the window, and I'm going to use my mobile phone to emulate a caller coming into the business. Okay, and this person is a call I've already got in a CRM, so I'm going to see their name. To save time, I've already set them up. So essentially, I'm going to make a call from my mobile, and it's going to ring my PortaOne device, which is the soft phone in this instance, and we'll see what happens. So once the call comes in, you can see it's ringing, and I've got a button here, and I can just press that, and I've answered the call. Okay. I'm just going to put my mobile on mute because I'm getting some feedback through my headphones here. So a real call in progress. Straight away, even while it was ringing, I saw the name of the caller, I saw the company, and I had any notes in their CRM record just in here. And I also could have done this while it was ringing or after I've answered it. I had this little button here. And if I just click on that, I instantly pop the contact record in Salesforce for that caller. Okay, so that's very quickly what I've demonstrated there is caller preview, i.e. seeing the name of the caller, basic information about them, and giving the option to pop straight to their contact record. Okay. Now, while this called, now you'll see I also got this little add contact icon because I'm actually integrated to more than one system. I've integrated to Salesforce and I've also integrated to Google Contacts. Okay, so I've just used two systems which are very easy to set up for demonstration, but it might be quite common for people to have more than one system which contains contact information. Microsoft Outlook being a very common one. Or they may have you may be on a support desk system like Zendesk, and you may also have a CRM system like Salesforce. You can actually integrate up to 4 applications at the same time within the single user license, okay, within the same license at no extra cost. Now, once the call is in progress, if I was to click this now, what's happened here is it's recognized that I've already got contact information in Salesforce. That's the one I just popped. But it's recognized that I'm integrated to Google, but there's no contact information in Google for Chris Huffman. So when I pop the add contact sign, it immediately gives me this screen, and it allows me, and it's taken the information from Salesforce. So the information I've already added for Chris in Salesforce is copied into this short form, and it gives me an option to click save, and I will immediately also create or duplicate that contact into Google Contacts, or I could click save and show, and I would create it, but also take me into Google so I could add some more information, perhaps information that's not contained within our short form. I'm not going to do this because there's quite a few places you can do this from, so I want to show you something else around this as well. So I'm going to cancel it, but Chris is speaking to me, and he recognizes he needs to speak with someone else in the business. So I could go here, and I could open up my presence window. And presence window at this point in time is showing me in a call, and it's showing BLF status of everybody else in my organization. And I've added a couple of people into the favorites. You can simply take anyone from this list and add them to favorites. Now, as it happens, you see Alan has just gone from red to green. Okay, so Alan was on a call, and as soon as he came off the call, oh, there we are. I can see he's gone back in the call. Thanks, Alan. He's done a great job on my demo here. But what I can do is once I've got these people, I can simply hover over their name, and I get options to do a consult transfer or a blind transfer, see more information about them, or remove them from favorites. But if I wanted to transfer this call to Alan, then I could simply do this, go to blind transfer, click on that, and that call has disappeared from my desk and my phone, and it's gone to Alan. And you can see it's ringing on Alan now, okay? And I'm just going to hang that up because it doesn't look like he's going to answer. Okay. So that's a demonstration of caller preview, screen pop in, transferring of calls. I don't know why it's still ringing on Alan's phone, but we'll sort that out in a moment, I'm sure. So next, we're going to look at some of the other interfaces that are available and how we can dock interfaces. So I've also got something here called call toolbar. And the call toolbar is sort of like a version of the preview window, but it's something you would use instead. Say you're an agent and you were taking calls frequently. You may find the call toolbar is a superior interface compared to the preview window. So I'm going to go into configuration. I'm going to switch off my preview window, like so. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to dock my preview window. I'm going to dock my toolbar. Okay. And I'm going to bring up my Salesforce. Now what you'll see I've done now is I've put my telephony environment in its entirety around my CRM system. So I've got my call controls at the top, and I've got my presence window down the side here. Now let's see what happens when I put this call in again. So call comes in again. This time, oops, I have the option to answer the call up here. So you see I'm taking very little real estate. I've got all of my CRM information in the top left. I can still pop my contact record. I could still add a contact, something new, and I've still got my option to transfer calls to my colleagues and see their status. Okay, so this is the call toolbar interface, and I can just simply hang up the call there. Now, I also mentioned earlier on that there's other ways of adding a contact. So say I'd been on a call to Chris, and oops, I'll not do it from, I'll do it from recent calls. And after I ended the call with him, I recognized that I wanted to add him to another system. So you can see I can go into here. This is called recent calls. Shows me the last 10 calls or numbers I've made and received calls to and from. And if I just hover over it, it gives me the option to call the contact back, to pop their contact record, or guess what? I can just, even though I'm not on a call, I can go and duplicate the contact that I had in Salesforce into Google Contacts. So I click save, okay, and hopefully, eventually, no, that's not good. Oh, yeah, there it goes. I've now gone and duplicated that contact into Google Contacts. And now when I hover over it, you'll notice I've no longer got the add contact icon. All right, so I've now got the contact in Google and I've got the contact in Salesforce. Now, wherever we show a name, whether it's in caller history and recent calls in the preview window, wherever we show an external contact, we would normally give the contact to pop them, bring them back. Okay, good. Now I'll just show you a little bit about Teams integration, and perhaps I'll just shut some of these down in a second. So I'm going to go back into configuration and I go into devices and I'm going to click on some options here. Okay, these are all to do with turning on the integration to Microsoft Teams. And I'm going to click save. Okay, first thing it's going to do is going to ask me to log into my Microsoft account. This is using the Microsoft Graph API. Okay, so that's just the authentication from Microsoft to get into the Graph API. You only have to do it once normally. Okay, when you turn it off, you've got to do it again, but normally it's not a very frequent thing to have to re-authenticate. Now you'll notice, even though I'm not on a call, I've gone red down here now. It's no longer green because actually it's reflecting my Microsoft Teams availability. And when I open up the presence window now, it's just going to take a second to update. Rather than it showing the sort of extension and the BLF status, it's now showing people's Microsoft Teams availability. It's also given me the option to open up a Teams chat with them. So I got this extra little icon now, and if I click on that, I just go straight into Teams and I can have a chat with that person. Okay. Also, it still prioritizes BLF. So if I was to get a call in, and if I was to go and search for myself, so you can see what other people would see me like, I'll just add it to the favorites. So I've added my own contact to the favorites. Now you can see I'm busy. That's my Microsoft Teams availability because I am busy. I'm on a call now. My calendar is telling Teams I'm busy. But when I put the call in, you can see I get ringing call here. Okay, well, I turned my preview window off. That wasn't very clever. So let me just quickly put my toolbar on, answer the call. And you'll see once I've answered the call, then I've actually gone to in a call. So my BLF is overwriting my Teams present because obviously being on the phone is more important than just reporting your Teams availability. Okay. And when I hang up the call, then it's going to go back to what my previous state was, which is busy. Okay. Now, there's other things it can do. We can actually, there's some beta features within Teams, which we're still waiting for Microsoft to hopefully take outside of beta at some point, but we still support them and make them available if you want them, where we can actually write back your call status to Microsoft Teams itself. So if you're in a call on PortaSwitch, we can show in Teams that we're in a call on PortaSwitch. Okay. We've also got something within Teams called Search and Call, which is here. And I'll just get rid of that. So you can see there's a little icon here, Go Integrator, and you can actually go and do your search from within Teams. So I could also do a search from here. So you can see this is a nice way of searching and dialing people is just typing in the name in the system tray menu. You can say I can also do it from our Teams app and I get exactly the same results returned. And from here, I could dial that person or pop their contact. And from here, I could dial the person or pop their contact. Okay, so you've got the same functionality from within the Teams client that you can actually have from within our own desktop client. Well, not all of it, but some duplication and replication here. What else did I want to say? Oh, yeah, now, the other important thing is now that I've turned Teams integration on, and assuming I've got direct routing or something similar, I've now got an option for Teams in my preferred device list. Now, what's interesting, whenever I click a number, whether I do it from Teams or whether I do it from here, that whenever I place a call, the call is going to be placed through whatever device I picked as my preferred device here. Okay, so if I now go and click Teams as my preferred device, and I click on the number, you're going to see it's going to try and force my call through my Teams client rather than through the PortaOne client. Okay, and similarly, if I was to do it from here, and I go and click on the number, it's still going to try and push the call through my Teams client. Alternatively, if I went back to my soft phone, like so, and I placed the call, I'll just do it through recent calls this time, then you can see the call is getting pushed out. Oh, you can't see it because I've turned the preview window off. Hang on, I shouldn't have turned that off. So there you can see now it's trying to push the call out through my Broadworks client. Okay, so just before I keep doing that, I'll go and put my preview window back on. There. Okay, good. There are some other things which we're intending to make available, some other smart things we got around Teams and sort of control, but I won't demo them right now. I think that's essentially, I've covered the things I wanted to talk about with Teams. So I'll just close these things down and go back to my slides and just check if there's anything that I've missed here. So over here, let's do that. So yeah, so I think I've covered everything I was looking to demonstrate in the first instance. Okay, so why would you take Pria? Well, hopefully I've managed to demonstrate just now some of the benefits, but essentially it's productivity gains. Okay, through click the dial and through screen popping, you're saving a considerable amount of time per call. All right, so I mean, you can save easily 30 seconds per call just by click the dial and screen popping. So if your job is making and taking phone calls, you're going to save a lot of time. The other thing is, of course, it's more professional. So you're able to address the person's question more quickly because you've got to their salient information more quickly. And you know them. So actually, you know how to react. If you know the person you're going to speak to when they've actually called you, then you're sort of prepared for the discussion, whether it's going to be a difficult one or an easy one. So you're able to increase your level of professionality when you're taking that call. All right. It's also very good for staff productivity and collaboration. You can see from the Teams integration and the BLF fields, you're not going to send calls to anyone unless they're able to take the calls. So we're trying to give that instant, easy visibility to co-workers in your own organization. Okay. It also helps you keep your CRM data or your contact information up to date. You can see how easy it is to duplicate information between different systems. So it's going to force you to make sure you've got matching information between your different systems. Just very quickly, and this is my last slide. So where are we? Well, we're just completing some internal testing on the product now, which we hope to complete during August. Then we want to actually offer out, and Klaus or I will provide some more details about this at some point shortly, but we're hoping to, well, we are planning to do a beta trial during September, October, and November. That's to thresh out any problems with the software, involve you guys, and make sure we've got something which is good to go. And there'll be no charges for this period, so you can eventually have the software, use it yourself, even give it to some friendly end customers to try out and to prove the value of the product. Okay, it's very important that if you're able to, you participate in this, because this is a really good participation in this will help us get the product to market more quickly. And then we're hoping to do a planned launch in December. So that's our current schedule around the product. So that's it from me. I think that's probably a good timing to hand back to Klaus and take some time for some questions.
Fantastic. Well, thanks so much, Rob. Thanks for stop sharing. I'm gonna just quickly pop my slides back on to help us with the question and answers and the quick summary of what we've seen. So first question maybe to answer, how to sign up for the beta that Rob mentioned. So head on over to the add-on Mart sign up. This would be the first step. Some of you might have already completed that. Obviously, there's no cost there at all to just fill in some details. And then you can actually activate Pria through our add-on Mart self-care. If you prefer, of course, At which point, once you do it through the self-care, your account manager will get in touch regardless. So you may also simply talk to your PortaOne account manager and basically get them involved right away also. As Rob mentioned, the requirement to participate is indeed MR 100. We are wanting to also make this available to anyone on MR90 plus. So we will backport basically any required changes that may be needed or that are needed back to MR90. So that's something that we've in some instances, if you're still running on something older than that, please talk to us. But MR90 is sort of the requirement that we've decided to use. It's recently up to date, and I think it gives us a sufficient pool of participants in the program for September, October, November. All of what Pria and what we talked about earlier with the Teams direct integration, Teams direct routing, all of it is obviously part of us trying to help you becoming not just a telephony provider to your customers that they could potentially quite quickly switch. I mean, switching SIP trunks can be done quite quickly, but once you're becoming a sort of a solutions provider or a trusted consultant advisor on any sort of communications tools that your customers need, it's very difficult for your customers to switch. And I think your customers will also start looking at you with a different set of eyes, so to speak. So at this point, I would like to encourage everyone that has questions, head on over to there's a small section in Zoom called Q&A. I've seen some of you have started using the chat. That's fine too. But if you don't mind, use the Q&A. It allows us to a little bit better answer any sort of questions that might be coming in. So let me just take a quick look at some of the questions in the chat here. So we have a question. Does Pria have the app bar? Yes, so that's.
Yeah, I meant to show this actually. There's another alternative to the system tray menu, which is more like a Windows bar itself, and you can dock it to the right hand side. So it's an even more accessible way of getting the software without having to right click on the system tray menu. So yeah, there's something called the app bar, which is just an alternative interface to the system tray. So sort of user selectable, user preferred way of doing it. But yeah, there's an app bar for it. Yeah.
Perfect. Sounds good. And then there's a question here: when the toolbar Pria is not active or closed and you receive a call, will you still get a screen pop in the tray for incoming calls?
Yes, as long as you don't. As long as you don't turn off the preview window like I did for the demo. So you can always leave the preview window on. Okay, so even if you prefer to use the toolbar but you close it, as long as you've had the preview window enabled, then whenever you receive a call, you will get that pop-up. So you'll always get a pop-up notification, and it will always update the presence. So if you've got presence open or you open presence, then it's going to reflect the latest presence state of your coworkers.
Yeah, and this actually brings up a good topic, which we had noticed before. So for those of you who use PortaOne, as you're aware, PortaOne supports 3 channels or 3 distribution channels with mobile, desktop, WebRTC, and the Teams OTT, so the Teams over the top. So if you're using PortaOne as a Teams OTT app, it's a very good solution for those Teams clients that don't have direct routing. But the issue was always with, if you only have PortaOne and you're not in the Teams tab for PortaOne, that you won't get notified for incoming calls, which is obviously a massive issue. But with Pria, that topic is no longer the case. So with Pria, you will get notified of incoming calls. And so it's a very good combination, PortaOne plus Pria. as a way to give those Microsoft customers a communication solutions that don't want to invest in direct routing. Then there's another question here. When a call is initiated from the Pria client and a particular IP phone, for instance, Yelang, is selected as preferred device, will it also update the presence in Teams to in-call, both for incoming and outgoing calls?
So for an outgoing call, so updating presence in Teams itself to in a call is the beta feature of the Graph API. So we support the beta feature, but we do strongly make the point it's still a beta feature of Graph API. So it's been a beta feature for quite some time now, perhaps 24 months. So we just have to keep stressing that until Microsoft decide to make it permanent. So fine with Microsoft, they can leave features in beta for a long time. Once they take it out of beta, they're very good at supporting it for a long time. But until we actually see that they've done that, we just stress that point. So when we build the client, you'll get a choice, right? By default, we don't turn on the update in a call in Teams. We turn it off as a beta feature, but we can make it available to you, and we give you that choice when we make your client available to you. Okay, but you then got to, of course, manage the situation if it was taken out of beta and your customers complain because they didn't have that nice feature they liked anymore. So that's why we're just careful about it. But of course, our presence window always shows the information which is in Teams and the PortaOne devices. So yeah, if you docked our presence window, you'll always be in a good situation in getting a full view of presence across Teams and the telephone system.
Okay, fantastic. Thanks, Rob. Along the same line of questioning here, when Pria window is not active and app mode is set as Teams or Teams is closed, in this case, do we get notified about incoming calls? Also, what I might suggest, I think this is obviously, Rob, I'll give you a chance to maybe comment on this in a second, but obviously, I think this is then perfect to try out the POC. You know, try it out in September, and go through your specific use cases, test cases that you would like to make sure are covered. We feel it will cover them. Rob, do you have a specific comment on that? Was that clear, the question?
Yeah, it is. It's quite a simple answer actually. If there's a device configured against the user on PortaOne, then Pria is going to know about that device. And if there's a ringing event on that device, our preview window is going to pop up and let you know there's a call coming in. So you'll always get notified of a call as long as the device is configured against the user on the switch. So yeah, as long as it's a supported device type, we should get the events for it, and we should show a preview window. So I can't think of an instance where we wouldn't show a preview window for a ringing call.
Yeah. And then the question was, can PortaOne be selected as a preferred device in Pria?
Yeah, I would expect it to be. Yeah. I haven't tried it, so I'll try that next week. But yes, we should again. When Pria logs in, it downloads the devices associated with the user and presents them in the preferred device list. So it should be there, but I haven't specifically tried it myself yet. But,
same for my. I mean, the expectation is obviously. I mean, we play nice in terms of standards way of doing things, and so does Mondago. So, but we can give you the definite answer after August. Okay. Anyone else with some questions for us? Just making sure I'm not missing anything here. If you do remember any sort of questions, maybe after the session, it's obviously don't despair. I mean, please simply reach out to the PortaOne account manager who can either put you in touch directly with the Mondago team, or obviously we've been building our knowledge base about Mondago's solution for quite some time now. So we might just be able to give you that answer ourselves directly. There is,
Okay.
I believe, one more new. Yeah, Rob, go ahead.
Yeah, so how many CRMs are supported? So there's over 60 out of the box. Okay, so ones which are just in the list, just when you go to when you install the software, you'll get a list of over 60 CRMs that can be configured. Each one has a handy add-in guide available within the configuration menu. Over and above that, we've got about another 200 which are hidden, and they're sort of made available on a per request basis or a project basis, normally because there's some difference with them. We also have a process where you can request new integrations, and we actually receive, because this is our business, we receive over 20 requests for new integrations a month, and every month we don't write 20 new ones, but we probably write 3 new integrations a month, some which come into the standard list in a later release, and some which remain hidden and available on a project basis. So yes, there's a lot, I think it's fair to say.
And I remember, Rob, there was even, I think, a specific question a while ago that we had looked at. One of our clients from Switzerland was looking to get the call pop basically for the phone book search for the Swiss website, where you can basically get a phone number searched. And yeah, I mean, that's one of the example of a fairly specific, highly specific example, but that's certainly possible as sort of a custom CRM capability. Pria can be white labeled, absolutely. So one of the questions, the short answer, there isn't much talking around. Once you've gone through the POC, so we will not white label it right away, but once you've gone through the POC and if you made sure that the capabilities is exactly what you need and you want to bring it to your customers, it can certainly be white labeled. When Teams is selected as a default app, can we have a choice to route outbound calls, either direct routing or through PortaOne only? Which is, I mean, basically the direct routing from Teams would go through PortaSwitch. Yeah, so there isn't, but I'd love to see the specific maybe need or requirements. So we might be missing some detail about this. But regardless, you wouldn't be missing the call, and the call records would be available as CDRs in PortaSwitch regardless.
Yeah, and perhaps another way of answering it is Pria itself doesn't get involved in call routing. It just decides which device it sends the call to. Okay, so we're gonna, Teams is slightly different because it's a desktop to desktop sort of transaction. So we actually at a desktop level go to Teams, say, hey, here's a number, go dial it. So it's a bit like going into the dial pad in Teams or something and typing a number and ringing it. So it'll follow whatever route has been set up for as if you were making a call directly from the Teams client, manually.
Yeah. So I guess the scenario is when Teams was selected as a default app, whether the Teams direct routing SBC could be avoided and one could send the calls directly through PortaSwitch. That was the scenario here, Rob. Yeah. Okay, great. Well, thank you so much for all your questions. I'm just gonna wait a couple more, maybe one more minute for last questions to trickle in, but over than that, I think we're also pretty close to, we still have a couple more minutes here for those of you that still have a couple questions, but other than that, fantastic. Thank you so much for attending. And I thank obviously Rob and Nick for attending from Mondago side. The collaboration from my perspective has been somewhat delayed, but this isn't due to Mondago. I think we were all a bit sidetracked with some existing projects and then obviously the global situation. So I'm excited to finally bring this to market, bring this to you, and we certainly hope that you see the benefits just the way we do, and you'll bring it to your clients. So thank you so much, Rob. Much appreciated for coming on.
Thank you.
And as I said, we will make a recording, a summary of our webinar and a recording available sometime next week or shortly thereafter. So stay in touch. For those who missed it, some of your colleagues, you can certainly share a recording. Great. Well, thanks, Rob, and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Bye-bye.